Okay. So, uh, welcome everyone to NACAA 365. We're glad to have a presentation today about our NAACA pre-conference tour for horticulture. So we're going to turn it over to Danny Lauderdale and Ginny, Miss Ginny. I ain't gonna say your last name, 'cause I know I mess it up. So they're going to do your program today. The floor is all yours.
All
All
right.
right,
Well, one thing,
I'm gonna get the screen shared. Go ahead, Jenny. Sorry.
go ahead. All right. Well, actually, you all know that we're going to be in Colorado, and that apparently is a really cool place to go, especially in the summertime. So I'm looking really forward to it. This is the Horticulture and Turfgrass pre-tour, and this year we really got lucky because we have lots and lots of good horticulture, plus the turf grass. So that's really cool. You want to forward it one more? There we go. Okay, here's where we're going to stay at the Sheraton Denver downtown. Um, One of the things that we have to be sure of is the nights that you're going to be there. You have to be able to fly in by at least the 5th so that you are at the hotel on the 5th because we are leaving on the 6th and, heading off for our pre-tour. The registration well, I think that we've got this information on how to arrive once you're at the Denver airport. You can either get an Uber or you could go ahead and take the A line train. It's $10 per person and it takes you to Union Station downtown. You go through the station and out the front to the right to the corner of Winecoop Street and you take the 16th Street free bus all the way to the Denver Sheraton downtown. And that's at 1550 Court Place. This will all be available for you later on also. The hotel and the conference centers are together, so once you're there, you don't have to go anywhere else. And sometimes we've been at places where we've had multiple hotels and been, maybe a block or two or even more from the convention center. Here it is all in one, so we're really lucky about that. Danny, off to you.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start talking tour stops. Our first stop will be on the 6th. We'll be heading up to Colorado State University to see some of their facilities. So the first one is going to be the ARDEC South, the Agricultural Research Development and Education Center that was founded in 1993 to support research and engagement on soil, crop, and water resources. And so they've got a number of faculty doing research projects there on that site. That site also has their horticulture research facility. So that's, of course, the part that we will be at. And we will be learning about their goals, their coordinated and integrated scientific investigations on agricultural problems. Their facilities are designed there to enhance the multidisciplinary spite work of the faculty and staff, producers, professors, processors, ag industry, and government. So they have a educational outreach in component, of course, and student involvement on new agricultural technologies and the value of U.S. sustaining agriculture. So it's an 80 acre site, and within that 80 acre site, there's specialty crops program manages 10 acres organically for the Rocky Mountains Small Organic Farm Project. So that's our first stop on the first day, and then we'll be continuing at Colorado State University facilities, going to the plant growth facility. I'll share the schedule as we have it planned now a little bit later, the full schedule, but I believe it says we have lunch there first, and then we will tour the plant growth facilities, which is over 60,000 square feet of research space with greenhouse, biocontainment and growth chambers, teaching greenhouse, classrooms, and the conservatory there as well. So the staff that works there includes 40 faculty, 250 research and support staff, and 300 undergraduate students that all have access and work in that facility from time to time. So they have, of course, the greenhouses that I mentioned that are used for various plant species under controlled conditions. The growth chambers specialize in their environments for their research projects, and biocontainment chambers for safe handling of genetically modified and potentially hazardous plant materials. And again, the teaching greenhouse and classrooms. So that'll be a great site for us. The last slide had the corpse flower in there, which is something that they and other universities that have them pride themselves on, and I'm sure we'll get an opportunity to see that as well. And then from there, we head to the gardens on Spring Creek, which brings us back to Ginny.
Okay, so if you've never ever seen or smelled a corpse flower, think about the name. I don't think it's going to be in bloom when we're there, but people stand in line for hours just to smell a rotting plant. Anyways, fun things. So the gardens at Spring Creek is in Fort Collins. It's a premier botanical garden, and it's nestled along the scenic Spring Creek corridor. The 12 acres of gardens inspire curiosity, and they foster environmental stewardship, and they enrich the lives of visitors through the beauty of the horticulture. Each exquisitely curated garden offers a peaceful retreat, a place to connect with nature, find moments of restoration, and experience the wonder of living plants. They have a welcome garden. They have a tropical butterfly house. They have a children's garden. They have a foothills garden, which showcases the beauty, form, and function of native trees, shrubs, grasses, and flowering perennials. There's a 1 acre garden of Eaton, Eatin, and that's where they go ahead and try different plants that are good for gardens. There's also a prairie garden that showcases meadow style gardening and underused and notable and unique native plants. There's a rock garden that simulates an alpine area, a sustainable backyard garden that brings eco-conscious ideas to homeowners while demonstrating the use of many sustainable landscape materials. There are also 5 specialty themed gardens. And those are going to be fun because they're just, like they're going to have a rose garden. They're going to have a fragrance garden, a plant selection garden, a moon garden, and of course, they're going to have a butterfly and hummingbird garden. There is also the Undaunted Garden that holds trials to increase the diversity of ornamental plants that offer wildlife and pollinator benefits and thrive with low water input and their challenging North Colorado climate and soils. There's also a wetlands garden, and there's a Xeric Parkway strip showcasing the long-lived, easy-to-care-for plants that thrive in intense heat with low water input. So I think it's really interesting that they can have a wetlands garden along with a xeric garden because those are so diametrically different. But there's with 12 acres, they can fit a lot of really beautiful things there. Thank you. That's another picture of this one is the rock garden.
All right, and then the the that I believe concludes our stops on the first day of the tour, and we'll be stopping for dinner after that. We'll review that a little later, and then the second day we're fortunate to be able to go to the Denver Broncos Training Center. We had hoped to be able to either go to the Mile High Stadium or to Coors Field, but neither of those options worked out. So the Broncos Stadium has a summer concert series, and they will not have any grass in the stadium at that time of year. So, but it's fortunate to be able to get in touch with the senior director of turf and grounds for the Broncos through one of our sponsors, Josh DeJong with Barenbrug, and we got in with Ryan Newman there, and we're going to get a full tour of the practice facilities. So we'll learn about managing athletic fields for professional athletes while maximizing player safety and performance. See how they use a soil heat system to extend their growing season and promote player safety and performance. We'll learn about the role of collecting and analyzing data to aid in their decision-making process for caring for the field with player safety in mind. And and how they perform the NFL Player Association mandated field testing. We'll also get to see some of our landscapes around the facility and how they manage that landscape integrated with um, turfgrass, other turfgrass on the site in the athletic field. And so we'll learn about all of that. We will get to see we should be able to get to see some athletic field construction. So one of the fields may be under construction or part of it at the time, which would be is a great opportunity to see things like the USGA system going in, the drainage system, all of that. And so we'll learn about that, developing their maintenance plan and adaptability, and meeting and exceeding the expectations that they have for the NFL and staff and their development. So great opportunity for us to see that. It worked out that we're going to be between the timing of our meeting is between their OTAs, official team activities, and then the week, it's like the next week, rookies report. So during those times, they don't allow anybody to visit the facility. So it worked out great for us. And then Denver Botanic Gardens, and I believe Andy West is going to talk to you about this.
Hey, yes. Yeah, so our next stop will be at the Denver Botanic Gardens. It was founded in 1951. It is one of the top 5 botanic gardens in America. It features North America's largest collection of cold temperate climate plants from the Western United States and around the world. They have a number of different gardens there. They have 51 different styles of gardens, 18 in the arid region, 8 international styles, 17 ornamental, 4 shade, and 2 water gardens. They're also, the garden's about 23, 24 acres. It was the first garden in the world to be a xeric demonstration garden. And they've got a number of different drought tolerant styles of gardens in there. They also are, they were the first conservatory in America that was made entirely of concrete and plexiglass panes. And the way they designed it, so it would channel all the water to the edges of the building so it didn't drip on the visitors as they walk through there. And so it's kind of unique designs and a number of different things to see there. We probably don't have enough time scheduled to see the entire garden on this tour, but we're going to try and get the most we can out of it.
All right, and then next will be, if I can get there, the Denver Zoo. And Heather Nykirk is gonna talk to you about this.
Thanks, Danny. So I thought it would be fun just to kind of throw a collage at you because, the zoo is home to roughly, I want to say here, I'm looking at my notes, pretty much quite a number of exhibits and animals, but we've got about 80 acres to explore. The Denver Zoo was founded in 1896. It's operated by the Zoological Foundation and funded in part by the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District. It is the most visited paid attraction in Denver. That's kind of been its claim to fame. And it was started basically with a donation of an orphaned American black bear. Side note, we had a black bear sighting in the county below us yesterday. He was perusing the Walmart parking lot in New Philadelphia, Ohio. So that was quite excitement last evening. He was out and about. But they constructed Bear Mountain, and it became the first zoo in the United States to use what we would consider to be more naturalistic enclosures, not like typically we might think of the Bronx Zoo with its bars and cages with that. So pictured here are some photos of Primate Panorama and Predator Ridge, which are I think is really cool, these areas that they do overlap in many cases so that there's an environmental enrichment part component to being able to move the primates and the predators around to do that. In 2012, they opened the Toyota Elephant Passage. Again, they can rotate various species through these 5 different areas. And one of our items, you'll see the person working there in the gardens, is that we'll do like a botanical tour. And one of the things that they featured there is the pollinator pathway garden, 2,500 square feet of certified wildlife habitat, featuring approximately 80 species of blooming perennial shrubs and trees, all orchestrated to provide food, water cover, and breeding sites for pollinators and other wildlife. And over half the plants there are native to Colorado. So we're going to be seeing in that situation 3 ecosystems: dry meadow, moist woodland, and moist meadow. And so again, the idea there ties in with the zoo's sustainability efforts by using plants adapted to natural or local environments. And so that reduces the need for supplemental watering and chemical application. So very cool. The other 2 items I wanted to point out at the zoo, I think that are really cool on this slide, are the conservation carousel. You can ride on hand-carved animals that represent the zoo species that they are working to protect. And so there is a small charge. So make sure when we're at the zoo, you get to ride the carousel. Or you can take a train ride, basically around what they call Carousel Meadow, as a way to experience the zoo grounds. So when you're tired or you want to see where you might want to target different habitats or species, you could hop on the train. I believe there's a charge for that. All the funds are used to maintain not only the service, but also the conservation programs for that. So Danny, can you click on, I think I have one more slide there just to give some primaries.
Hang on. Yes, there you go.
Cool. So you can take a look at this slide. It's Denver Zoo at a glance. So you can see there's 4,100 animals, 600 species. Learn a little bit more about kind of just like the nuts and bolts of the zoo. But I think what's cool is the zoo is located in Denver City Park, which is not only Denver's largest and one of its oldest urban parks, but it's been the historic and geographic home for the zoo. Again, the park itself is about 320 acres of meadows, lakes, and tree-lined vistas. And it serves as a cultural hub. And it also houses Denver's Museum of Nature and Science. So there's a lot of really good partnership there with the zoo. And what I'm showing on the left-hand side of the screen is kind of like the 4 primary areas that the zoo focuses on. So they there's support for the zoo, there's visitors, there's conservation. And so within that conservation, I think it's cool. You might want to check out their conservation efforts. They span more than 600 projects in 62 countries. They have a really cool project called Women in Conservation, and they also sponsor community science programs, which engage community science efforts with local volunteers that are trained by zoo staff. And then they are hoping to be a zero waste campus by 2025. So perhaps we'll be able to hear more about that. But that's a quick glimpse and look into the Denver Zoo. I'm an animal science person on a horticulture committee, so this combines the best of both worlds for me. So hope it does for anyone else out there.
Wonderful.
All right. Next, in Denver, Colorado State University has their Spur campus, which consists of several buildings. So we will be going there the end of the second day for a kind of closing tour dinner and tour of the facilities. So the slide that you're looking at here is the green roof system, and they also have an expansive greenhouse atop both the Terra and Hydro buildings to show how urban spaces can be used for plant and food production. The green roof serves as a research and demonstration facility to build on previous CSU research to investigate water use, food production, agrovoltaics, plant pollinator interactions, seeding, and other emergent industry questions. So they have controlled environmental horticulture research and use education to raise awareness of the possibilities of providing fresh and local produce year round. At this Terra building, the visitors gain a great understanding of where their food comes from in an urban can come from in an urban setting, the research and technology that goes into production, and the positive impact urban horticulture can have in their lives. The rooftop greenhouse is 2,100 square feet and has a hydroponic system to demonstrate new approaches and technologies to controlled environment crop production. So some of the goals of the tour are to learn about how the rooftop gardens were designed, take a tour of the soils lab, see more about the hydroponics that I mentioned, and see what plant diagnostics is up to in their research laboratory. And then I'll just continue on, and we've kind of done the schedule in order, but just a review of how we have this tentatively planned. It's always subject to change based on situations out of our control. But on the 6th, the first day of the tour, leave the Sheraton, head up to Fort Collins and get Arctic South. Then have lunch before touring the plant growth facilities. So for lunch we're using Ram Country Meats which is their livestock judging team so way they raise money for their livestock judging team. So we're using them for our lunch. And then touring the facilities, going to Spring Creek Gardens, as we mentioned. Dinner, we plan right now at Fuzzy Tacos for a little bit, maybe lighter dinner, since we're going to have a heavy lunch. And our lunch will have something for everyone, depending on what you like or don't like, or can eat or can't eat. But we'll have salad, pork, and brisket. And then we have some other sides and dessert with that as well. So we planned a little bit lighter dinner since we know we're going to have a really heavy lunch that day. And then driving back into Denver, we were trying to just stay out of the traffic getting back into Denver and let that clear out. So we're getting back a little late that evening. And then on the 7th, we'll head so that is the Broncos training facility. We'll have to leave earlier that day because it's in Inglewood, Colorado, which is southeast of Denver, kind of in the suburbs. And then the Botanic Gardens, we're planning to go to Atomic Cowboy for lunch, which will be kind of a salad and pizza lunch. And then the Denver Zoo for the tour and botanic walk, and then the evening social that I just mentioned at the CSU Spur. So what's included in your registration fee, thanks to the sponsors that we have? So we have Bear, we have Berenbrug, we have some other funds as well that are helping us with this tour. So your bus transportation is covered, your lunch and dinner for the 6th and the 7th, all the tour stops that we go on, and we will have water, sports drinks, and snacks on the bus as well. So you are responsible for your own lodging, of course, during the time of the tour, but you're going to get a lot for that $100 registration fee. And then I like to just review quickly. Most of y'all that I saw on here have been to national meetings before, a lot of y'all, and so are familiar with this. But I've got some old images from last year's online registration, since it hasn't opened this year yet, just to give you an idea of what you need to do specifically related to the tour. So it won't say Billings, Montana, obviously. It will be Denver, Colorado. We always have to make sure we do our hotel registration and follow that. We won't have really choices this time because we're all staying in one hotel. Your bed and room preferences and the dates. And just remember, as Jenny said at the beginning, to include those dates starting July 5th, coming
Danny,
in that day. Yes.
can I interrupt you just one second,
Sure,
just so
exactly.
everybody knows it? Since Danny mentioned we are staying at one hotel, the Sheraton, you're not going to have to fill in this arrival departure date within my system.
Okay.
you will have a link similar to what we did in Dallas directly with the hotel. So you will make your reservation directly with them, and that link with our code and all that stuff will be within the registration site. The primary thing that both Danny and Ginny mentioned is make sure that you put your arrival date correct, because I'm not going to be able to help you this year and fix it, um, since it's direct with the hotel. But anyway, so that's about the only thing that's going to be different on the registration form that Danny's showing you.
Okay, great. So, anyway, and you'll have information about the early bird dates when you go on there as well. You'll select your membership type and include your name and information. Obviously, for the main part of the meeting, you'll be selecting any meal events as you go through there. Super seminars, which we do have a horticulture super seminar planned as well, which maybe Jenny might mention towards the end. The pre-tours, of course, which is what we're talking about here, the horticulture pre-tour. Um, and I believe there is an animal science pre-tour.
There is
And
not.
there is not an animal science.
No.
I thought it just got reduced to one day. So what are the other pre-tours?
The only other one is the sustainable ag
Okay,
and natural resources have one.
gotcha. So you'll select horticulture, of course, and then there's usually this part where you put a little narrative of why you want to attend the pre-tour, how do you intend to use the information, and describe your program of emphasis. And then, of course, when you get completed, you will get this, your totals, which I believe the registration this year is going to be $600 for the main meeting registration, and then the $100 for the horticulture pre-tour. And then there is I have an older one from Dallas, the county agent registration form. But just if you want to look at there, of course, there'll be a write up in there about the county agent magazine about the pre tour that will be there as well. And then there'll be similar information in printed form for those that choose to do that versus the online version. And you'll select, of course, horticulture tour there as well. So let me see if I can move on. My slides are stuck. You'll bear with me just a second. Let me see if I can. No, they're not. I guess that's my last slide.
That's your last. So do you want me to talk about the super seminar?
Sure, that'd be great. And then I
Okay.
know Haley had some information to add. I'll just go back to um, one of our slides, or I can just stop sharing. How about we do that?
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. So we are having a super seminar, and it's going to be on native plants. And I had a wonderful conversation with Brian, who's on right now, also about how the native plant system works when they're going for it. Like I'm a master gardener coordinator. I see a couple other people here online that are also master gardener coordinators. We have a master naturalist in Maryland, but they take their master native plant really seriously. It starts in the springtime where that you study the native plants that do things in the springtime, and you get tested on that. Then you go and you do the summer native plants and you learn which ones they are, what they look like when they're in bloom, and you get tested on that. And then there's one in the fall. So it's not just 3 months of study. It's almost 2 years of study, which I thought was very, very interesting. So we have two people who have worked with that, and they're going to both give the super seminar. So it should be very, very interesting. It's one of those things, it doesn't matter that you don't have the same native plants as they have. It's just going to be interesting to see how they work it and how they do things. So I thought that that would be a lot of fun. And one suggestion is sign up early. And Haley,
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody and emphasize that if you're planning on going on the pre-tour, or even if you're not, just the fact that we're going to be in Denver, which is a mile-high city, so it's for those of us at sea level, it's over 5,000 feet, higher elevation. Make sure that, especially the first couple of days, to drink a lot of water. That'll help with the altitude adjustment. And also bring sunscreen because there is a higher UV index than at least those of us on the East Coast in very flat places at sea level are used to. So we will be providing some sunscreen. Is that correct? But it's always a good idea to bring your own. And
Thank you.
yeah, there will also be a fair amount of walking on this pre-tour. Hopefully that was clear in the slides, but just be aware of that.
And as Danny said earlier, we provide water as well as sports drinks, so that would help you guys out also. And as Haley said to me, yes, when you get on the bus, you should have a bottle of water. And when you get off the bus, you should take another bottle of water. And when you get back on the bus, get another bottle of water. So it makes sense. Well, you've been there a couple of times already, haven't
Yeah.
you? So
Yeah.
you've
Have family
experienced.
out there. Yep.
Cool. I guess we can open up now for questions. Does anybody have any questions about what we're talking about?
Hi, this is Donna Balich. So do you have a number of attendees that you're limiting it to?
Yes, we try to keep it about 25. We can go a little bit more. Um, the buses that we have, I think, Denny might correct me. I think that they are being provided by the local school.
No, we're going to have Colorado State University
Oh,
buses,
okay.
which I believe, and Scott or somebody else can correct me from our previous discussions. I believe there is a standard like tour bus size, like 55 passenger buses.
But we like to keep the number of people between 30 and 25, right?
We kind of have said that in the past. We normally have around 20 to 25 participants, and then we may have usually around 4 to 5 other people that join us as well. So sponsors that may join us on the tour as well. So normally we don't have more than between 25 and 30, and we haven't really had to restrict it in the past. Scott can correct me on that if I'm wrong about that.
You're not wrong, but it would help me to know if you don't want a bus that's got 55 people on it. I need to set that limitation so that we don't oversell, or I can set it at 50 and allows for your 4 or 5 sponsors if they show up, or it's not a big deal. I just don't want it to exceed 50. I'm gonna set the limit at 55. The likelihood of that happening historically is
Right.
slim, but I don't want an oversold, because quite honestly, that creates a headache on my end to have to send emails and um
Okay.
So
Well,
Scott, go ahead, Jenny.
Jennifer's just asked, can you bring a friend? As long as they pay their NACAA registration and the pre-tour.
So let me clarify that. And that's a really good question, because we've had that happen before for animal science, where we had people that really only wanted to come to the pre-tour and did not want to register for the meeting. And that was allowed. They're not going to get a name badge or tickets to anything. They're just going to go on the pre-tour and that's it. So I will set the registration system up to handle that. If that's all they want to do is register for pre-tour only, that option will be there. So And if for some reason it doesn't work, you just shoot me an email and I'll send an e-invoice for $100 and you give me the name and I get them added. So,
Thank
Scott,
you, Scott.
yeah.
just to clarify, Scott, just want to make sure, does the friend have to be a member of NACAA or can it be a friend that's from Denver that's want to hang out with you that day?
Yeah, no, it's because oftentimes there are spouses that go with and they're not members, so it's open. I mean, and that's a Danny question. You know, the only time that you will see on the registration, there are, please tell us why you want to go on this tour, what you plan to learn on the tour. Um, that's primarily there to make sure that if it is in a sold out situation, that we're not leaving out educators that really wanted to go and it's been filled up by a bunch of non horticulture related people. Uh, Very rarely has that required us to boot people, but that's kind of one of the reasons why we have those questions so that the committee can evaluate the interest and if
Yeah,
they have to
we
trim.
have had, of course, spouses in the past
Yeah.
attend, and um, my children have been with Cindy and I on the tour in the past as well.
I'll just add from the child standpoint, I was going to say my daughter has participated both in the youth part of NACAA. And so if you do have kids, they're welcome on the tour, for sure. My daughter greatly enjoyed, being able to go on that tour, but she also liked being independent, right, on a youth tour. So keep that in mind as you're signing up. We are family friendly.
Very much so. Yes, the first year that I attended was in San Antonio eons ago, and my husband didn't want to be a part of anything, but he did want to go see the Alamo, so he did come with me. But the next year, I convinced him to join, and he loved it, and he continued every single year after that.
So, hi, this is Donna again. Um, what is what kind of participation are you anticipating, Scott? Um, from just the general attendance?
What did we budget for?
Sure.
Um, which, as a former board member, you you'll know that it's always a shot in the dark when we're budgeting, but I just happen to have that spreadsheet up and pretty comparable to, I think, total number of people we're anticipating is um, maybe 1,100-ish. 600 active, 115 first timers, life and spouses, another 120, and then kids 80. So in that 1,100 range.
Thank you. Are there any more questions?
We've got a lot of people on here who have been with us before, and we hope will join us again.
Yes.
So they don't have a lot of questions for us. They know kind of how it goes.
Jennifer
We
asked
have
about registration. April 1, it will open. So I will most likely send an e-blast first thing that morning that will have the direct link and all of that information. And as well as I'll get it posted on the homepage down in the lower right-hand corner. You'll see the Colorado logo, and there should be a link there that will say AMPIC registration.
And it's not an April Fool's joke, right?
No. I could make registration $1 and then everybody would register that day, but that wouldn't go over well with the board. So,
Oh, darn.
It'll be a
If
good laugh,
if
Scott. It'll be a good laugh.
if I can, I will want one caveat to that. I'm pretty certain I just got notification today that the magazine is most likely being mailed out today. There may be some modifications to what's was already printed for some of the tours, and I'm waiting to hear back from Colorado by Friday of this week on what those modifications might be. So I'm probably going to tweak the online digital version of the magazine to make those modifications. But with all that being said, if I get all that done prior to April 1st, I'll start it earlier. A day or two earlier. But April 1st is what, Wednesday? So just plan on the first. Because I don't know how much of a modification I'm going to have to do to the magazine, and I probably won't know till Friday evening. So
Scott, do you recall? I can ask Cindy, but I'm sure you recall. Did we limit the tour number last year? Did we have a limit set?
I want to say we limited it to 20, but then had some people. I don't know. I get my pre-tours mixed up. Um,
Well, we were partnering too with Sustainable Ag, right, last year.
We were. Yeah.
So I think we did have a little bit of a higher number that we
Right.
might have worked with, Scott, just because we would thought maybe we might have some crossover since they weren't having their own tour.
I mean, I can always adjust the number as we go. If I guess it really just depends on if you think taking 35 is going to cause some logistical issues with either tour stops or meal locations, then you might want to factor in some of that in your decision making.
Yeah, I think I can only think of one where there might be two places that we could potentially have a little issue if we had more than 30, but I don't really we haven't ever had that happen before. So yeah, it could be the first time, but normally it feels like we have between 20 and 25. So if you're good with that, we'll just kind of play that by ear. I think
Fine.
if Jenny's okay with that, and we'll see where it goes.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Because I think and funding wise, we're okay. So we have, if we hit on our budget as we have it right now, we can we can cover some additional that are unexpected. So we can just, yeah, play it by ear.
And I'll add both Ginny and Danny and whomever else wants it on my weekly registration update email so that you can kind of be monitoring it just like I am. So if you see something you're starting to get concerned about, then just reach back out to me.
Will
That
early
sounds
bird registration end
May
mid-May?
15th.
Okay, May 15th. Yep. Okay. And we pretty much will, I mean, that's pretty much everybody registers by that time, correct?
Probably 95%.
Right. Okay. Very good.
It's not that I feel that we should restrict anybody from joining, but I just think sometimes if you have a crowd that gets too large, um, not everybody can hear what the speakers are saying. And there's going to be, people who work at these different places that are going to give us tours and they're going to give us the background information. And if you have too many people and they're holding their own private conversations, that gets rude. That gets rude. So it's better, I think, to have a group that's going to be able to enjoy and go with the flow and enjoy, everybody.
Is any more questions for our horticulture team here? Okay. I'm glad everyone got their questions answered. Definitely look forward to seeing everyone in Denver. And this will conclude our NACAA 365 seminar. So with that, greatly enjoyed it and see you in Denver.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tyler.
everybody. See you in Denver.
Thank you.
See you in Denver.
Scott, if you
See
could
you
stay on
soon.
with Brian. Did Brian leave already?
No, I'm
Stay
here.
on after the recording.